If you can, I will pay your fine. Nope, okay. And just for our guests, this is where we fine our club. So everybody's going to put a dollar in the bucket. I'm going to throw out some trivia. And if they know it, then they can be exempt. But guests are also exempt. History today. 1619. The first legislative assembly in America convenes where?
Size house.
Negative. It was his dad's house. Anybody know? What? What joke? No.
Philadelphia.
Little further south. All right. Nobody knows. It's Jamestown, Virginia. In what year did New York's first elected governor take office?
1791.
Nope. Before. Anybody else? 1777.
Close enough. Come on.
First FIFA World Cup. Joel, what's FIFA? Soccer. First World Cup started today. What year? What? Not everybody at once.
1930.
1930. Pete, you're right. Good job. 1965, Lyndon B. Johnson signed this and created Medicare and Medicaid. What was the act called?
Thank you.
This should be pretty easy.
Social Security Act.
Social Security Act. Good job, Robert. So that was 1965. 10 years later, this famous person went missing and has still never been found. Jimmy Hoffa.
You're exactly right.
What year, last one here, what year, under subpoena, did President Nixon surrender Watergate tapes on this date? Linda Paul, what, 1970? Who said 4? Boom, you can be exempt. Everybody else, put your dollars in the bucket.
Thank you, sir. Rotarian of the day is Connie Jameson. Yay.
Hi. I wanted to talk to you about something specific today, and that is what we do for the children of Grove. Grove Rotary is so strong, and they give, starting with birth, all the way up through college, and they don't miss anybody. They really make an impact. Mike Bass was the person that I was aware of that picked the program up, made it go, and kept it going, and made a big difference in the school system. They're very grateful for the input. Now Jim Matthews is doing the very same thing. So that's enough about them. I want to tell you about me. When I get to do the reading program in the lower elementary, so I'm going to get emotional, those kids are something that will change your life. And I wanted you to know about it so that you could think about doing it yourself. This is for everybody and anybody to do. And there are many times on Monday morning when I think, oh gosh, I've got to be out the door and bright and sunshiny for first graders. How am I going to do that? Then I get there and they light the way. They're happy to see me, they respond, they're wonderful. But at the very beginning of the year, I always ask them the same question. And that question is, do you like to read? And because we're working with children that are struggling with reading, the answer is no. Sometimes it's a big no, sometimes it's a shy no, but no, I don't. I don't want to do this. By the end of the year, they're thrilled to death. I can read. Look at me. I can do this. And I can tell you that when I walk out the door of the lower elementary school, my feeling for hours later is I wouldn't have missed that for anything in the world. It is so special and so wonderful. And you don't go there to read to them or to correct them. You go to love them, listen to them, and encourage them. And it's magic. And anybody can do it. If you have a heart, anybody can do it. So I want you to think about it and hope you will do that. And Jim Matthews is the one to talk to about it. So thank you very much.
Our caterer today is Mulligan's. Thank you so much, Mulligan's, for that lovely lunch. Our guest today is Matt Martin, aka Rooster, with Carrie Stewart. There he is. Jeff McSweeney with Nicole Reynolds, soon to be Rotarian. Thank you. With Carol LaRue is Jennifer Hausman. Thank you, Jennifer, for being here with us today. April Hughes, please raise your hand. April. She is also here with Carrie Stewart. And then Shauna Waters has two guests with her today. Sean Cooper and Jacob Cooper, if you will promise to have them here. And now if you will step to the podium, if you have any Rotarian announcements you'd like to make.
So those of you who know me know that I'm a sucker for anything related to inner and outer peace. And we all need a little bit more of that. So on your table, the Creative Alliance, who we heard from a few weeks ago, is sponsoring a World Peace Gathering on the International Day of Peace, which is September 21st. It's going to be held at Lindenwood Gardens in the Pavilion. There's a flyer on your table. I'll be happy to answer any questions about it. But basically, it's open to anyone with the desire to create more peace in the world. People of any faith, culture, or belief is welcome, that are all about creating more peaceful hearts. So spread the word.
Thank you so much.
Speaking of spreading the word, come to happy hour. Thursday at Speedy's tomorrow night. Happy hour appetizers are on Rotary. Bring your friends, your family, anybody you think would like to get to know Rotary or just have a good time with people. No agenda, just fun.
Hi, I spoke about this just a little bit last week about to-go orders on behalf of your catering committee. We just briefly, we don't normally encourage anyone to take a to-go order. We don't actually budget for that or plan for that, but we are going to be discussing it as a committee, and we will be going to the board with some of these questions. So if you have a strong opinion on why we might want to offer to-go orders and are willing to pay for that out of our budget and our dues, please let me know your thoughts. We're open to your ideas, but we also, it's a tough situation to discuss, or tough decision to make on our part. So anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you, Charlie. And now for the introduction of our program, Sean McWaters is going to come and introduce Carrie Stewart.
Let's all be surprised what I'm going to say about Carrie here.
I'm scared.
Don't be scared. Carrie and I had the pleasure of meeting, oh gosh, I don't even remember how long ago it was. And one of the things he does is he works with veterans. Does anybody in here know how many veterans die of suicide a day in the United States? Does anybody know how, now can you hear me? Does anybody know how many veterans die per day in the United States? 22 a day. 22 a day. That's a big thing. He was doing a program by which he was working with some veterans to assist with some life bliss sort of situations, and we were able to contribute cruises to that group, and it was really enlightening. He also does a number of other things with people who need outreach, and like they're seeking their peace, they're seeking their bliss. And so it's not only about the peace that you need, but about the bliss that you get from your life that carries the greatest at. So I've had the pleasure of meeting him in a number of different ways, so without ado, here's Carrie Stewart. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Howdy. I'm Carrie Stewart. I'm an empowerment and intentional living coach. I'm the founder of Live Bliss, and I'm also a proud Gulf War veteran. Over a decade ago, my wife came to me and she said, "You're not the man I married, nor are you the man you used to be." I thought she wanted a divorce. But instead of ending our relationship, she threw me a lifeline. And that transformational gift has given me and the opportunity of thousands of other veterans and essential personnel and first responders and people in our community the opportunity to get their life back. Today I'm going to share a little bit, just a high level of my journey, my path of how I ended up in Grove, Oklahoma, how I have come full circle in this journey, in this path. We're going to talk a little bit about the producer of your life. That's a term that I decided on last year because so many times we have become the victim, and that we're not the victim of our circumstances, but we're the producer of our life. So this morning or this afternoon, I want you to think about maybe a song or a movie or something that's inspired you, and how we can become inspired again in our life. This photo was taken in Rosecrans National Cemetery. It's outside of San Diego. If you're familiar with that area at all, it's an amazing, beautiful place. And just to dive into what Shonda said, over the next hour, 6 people in the United States will commit suicide. My goal, and my ultimate goal, is to save and transform those lives. To give people hope again, to give them purpose back in their life. So who am I? Once again, I'm that Gulf War veteran. This photo was taken in Germany. My dad and his twin brother both joined the military. And they one went to Vietnam and to combat, and the other one was in Germany. I like to eat. You can probably still tell that. I love to eat. I'm a foodie, and I love this photo. But this is a long lineage of family history. Every male on my father's side was in the military and served the military. Now, my grandfather, my mother's father, served the military as well during World War II. This is when life begins to get challenging. As these men and women come back from war. Well, my dad turned to alcohol. That was his avoidance mechanism. We have sex, we have drugs, sometimes we even have religion. We use these different tools and mechanisms to avoid our thoughts, our feelings, and our emotions. And you can see, even at a young age, I was pulling this avoidance from my dad. I did not like the man he became when he drank. He was not the man that he should have been. He was not the father. And so many times in our life, those are things that we do. We have all these avoidance mechanisms. My roots are steep, deep in Woodward, Oklahoma. I've got family there that will always be there. My grandmother, my grandfather on my dad's side moved there. Times were different 100 years ago. They went through the Depression. They survived the Depression. And next we get these amazing dust bowls in Oklahoma. They survived that. And then a tornado comes through and wipes out the whole entire town. So there's things in their life that they went through, these major travesties. But I love the front porch conversations. I love the values. I love the things that Grandma and Grandpa instilled into my life of living. Minimalist, ethical, and being present and being in the moment. Some of you might remember the Great Flood of Tulsa in the 1980s. Well, this is me jumping over a barrier. Hopefully I don't get a fine for this today. But I jumped over a police barrier to get this photo. It's one of my favorite photos with a mullet. Yeah. Huh? Taken over in Knoll, Missouri. Yeah, there you go. Sported, man. After high school, I joined the Air Force. Right? And our credo, our mission, is to support and defend the Constitution of the United States to all our enemies, foreign and domestic. I spent a year in training. My job was amazing. It was electronic warfare technician. It takes about a year. I had a top secret SCI level 3 clearance. It takes about a year to do all the research on that. So by the time you get to your duty station, you've got a clearance. Now this is a W model RC-135 that's worth, I think, an estimated around $600 million per aircraft. The other one here is just a normal rivet joint. So what we do is we fly in a figure eight, like an infinity symbol. And we're out analyzing every single signal that's out there. So we know how much water is in the water tower. We know exactly where the SAM sites are, the tanks, or where these troops are moving. Anything that transmits a signal at any range, we follow it, we analyze it, and we dissect it. So we know exactly where anybody is at any point. We have all this information that we analyze every single day of our life. This is over in Riyadh, and I love this photo. I know you really probably can't see it, but it has Oklahoma City on there, and it has Tinker, some of the AWACS, Tulsa, places that I had called home, places that I had visited throughout Oklahoma. This is an undisclosed location over in the Gulf. So in the background there, you have our Patriot missiles, our missile defense system. We have AWACS. There's some tankers back there and fighter aircraft. But this is where the trauma began for me. Because every day I would don and put on this uniform, and we would circle around and we would find terrorists. And every single day, we would bomb those terrorists. And so if you could just imagine with me, for a couple minutes here, as you see a villa with a family, maybe kids playing soccer, and then a bomb destroys and disseminates all of that. I go home, I take off the uniform, and I put my trauma, I put my toxicity, I put all of that in an ammo box and I bury it in the backyard. The next day I get up and I put on that uniform and I do it all over again. And I do this over and over and over while I'm in the military, just like our police force over here are doing. There's so much trauma that they have faced. There's so many people in here that have faced trauma, and you've used some type of avoidance mechanism to pile it away. From there, I had an amazing opportunity. I went into Korea. We worked with the U2 program, and I was the person that did the briefing for the security at White House every single morning. So I took this information from all our missions, and I gave it to my buddy here on the left, Jeff Caldwell. And I would give it to him. He was a network security guy. He would encrypt it, and then he would send it over to the Pentagon. The Pentagon would send it over to the president, and then he would read every single day my briefing. It was an amazing opportunity to know everything that's going on in the world, of everything that we're doing. And then my buddy over here to the right, Greg, I still talk to him every single week. These are people that I've been in touch with my entire life, and that we've grown closer together. Greg's actually gone through one of my retreats as well. From Osan, my career went full circle. I got stationed at Eglin Air Force Base. At that point, I worked in test and development. We were responsible for every single fighter aircraft in the entire world. So what we did was we took the signals from the rivet joint, the first program, analyzed that, and then we give it to all these fighters aircraft to protect it. So for example, if it's an F-16 and you're really right here, well, you're telling the enemy you're over there, so if they go to shoot you, they're not going to hit you, right? So this is what my life consists of. I was medically discharged in 1999. This took my identity away, even some of my value. I wasn't well enough to do my job, but of course the military at that point didn't want to give me my disability rate. So I went into CC's Pizza. I became an entrepreneur. It was a huge, challenging opportunity on all levels. If anybody owns a business, I'll say primarily that that business probably owns you, you don't own the business. I never worked under 60 hours a week. Now this is a whole other talk, but one of my business partners in this venture, elderly man in his 50s, dating a 16-year-old, had a relationship, she ended up murdering him. That's a whole other story for a whole other time. Yeah. My buddy there, Jeff, I worked with him at the USDA for cybersecurity. Now this is just one of the networks that I scanned every day. What I look for is vulnerabilities. I look for a weakness in your asset. And when I would find that asset, I would notify you and I would give you some suggested remedies to resolve those issues, those vulnerabilities. And it was a very trying job. It was an amazing opportunity for me to do what I do. And that was just a huge blessing. And now here we go back. So my wife and I, we've been able to travel all over the world. And these photos were taken in late 80s, of course. You see the mullet. But here I am, at top of the World Trade Center, looking down at the Statue of Liberty. And on this photo, we're at the Statue of Liberty looking at the World Trade Center. So after 9/11 is when my trauma began to resurface. All that trauma that I put in those ammo boxes in the backyard exploded on me. Because this is a retaliation of all the innocent lives that we took during the war. This is because of what we did. And I had all this guilt and all the shame from the young lives that I took. Now it's compounded because I, once again, and the team that I am with, feel responsible for 9/11 because of what we did in the war. And it broke my heart. And I became a shell of a man. I tell people I was bankrupt mentally, physically, and spiritually. And this is when my wife came to me. And she said, "You're not the man I married. You're not the man you used to be." And I thought the next line was, "I want a divorce." But instead, she threw me that lifeline. that sacred gift that transformed my life and now the lives of thousands of others in our community. She said, I want you to retire. So I was working at the USDA, I went in and retired. Two big old guys with guns come in, take my ID badge and walk me out the door. And I went into the VA hospital. They suggested 3 things. Tai Chi. Heard of, I didn't know what that was. Yoga. Oh, that's for hippies, that's not for me, right? What's a yoga thing? And biofeedback, and that just scared me because I was thinking biohazard. I was thinking of all the things that I'd gone through in the military, and I was like, I don't want anything bio. Well, I landed back in Kansas City, and I had an appointment with this hippy-dippy doctor. Kind of reminds me of you. Longer hair, gray hair, just happy-go-lucky guy, you know? And he goes, do you know what you're doing? I'm like, I'm scared. I was like, it's biofeedback. I'm just thinking biohazard. He goes, okay, I want you to sit in this lazy boy, and we're going to strap you in. We're going to test your pulse, your oxygen. We're going to monitor all this stuff. You're going to look at a screen, and you're going to breathe. What? And he tells me, and so they strap me in, and I listen to some music. And it was the first time in my life that I walked out of the VA hospital less stressed than I walked in, less anxious, more calm. And I said, all I did was breathe. I just focused on my breath, listened to some calming music, watched this screen. This makes no sense to me. So I had a 45-minute drive home. I drove home and I dove into what is biofeedback, and I just realized it is the Western version of mindfulness and meditation. So that's where my journey began. I did that for 6 months. My wife gave me permission to engage in self-care. So what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is the opportunity to be present, to be in the moment, to let go of all the distractions. Mindfulness is a mindset. It's what you're doing with your mind right here, right now. Meditation is the opportunity to engage in that practice. I think Rich likes to go fishing. That's a form of mindfulness and meditation. It's calm, it's relaxing, right? You're allowing yourself to be present, to be in the moment. You're allowing yourself to discover those traumas and those dramas. I feel like, is this me or is that mic just up and down? It's me. Is that better? Is that worse? Okay, I'll turn the very white on. So, meditation is taking that mindset and putting it into a practice, whether it's walking, whether it's actually in a yoga studio, whether it's fishing, even hunting. A lot of women absolutely love hunting. And it's not that they're going after a deer, it's because they don't have to cook, they don't have to clean, they don't have to listen to their kids, they don't have to listen to their husband. They just get to be in nature, so they use that as a reason, an excuse to get away and to escape. It's imperative that we begin to find those modalities in our life. We have all this internal conflict. Now these are all slides that I could talk about for 2 hours each. I have built a curriculum over all of these concepts. So you turn this internal conflict into a connection. At our core, each and every single one of us is looking for a connection. We're all ingrained, we're all born with this spirit inside of us. But we've turned the spiritual off, this spiritual aspect. There's a feeling that you get right now, sitting in this room. Maybe some guilt, maybe some remorse, or maybe even some joy. But if you hurt my feelings, and I go over here to the physician and I say, my heart hurts, because Shonda hurt my feelings, and he scans my heart and they find nothing. I'm like, oh, my heart really is hurting, right? Carol does something amazingly wonderful for me, and my heart feels really good, and I go to the doctor, and I'm like, scan my heart, it feels really good. What is the change? Well, it's all in your mindset. Everything that occurs with this body, this spiritual vessel, is occurring in your mind. And the studies have shown from clinical trials that it's the singular cortex, it's your amygdala, it's your hippocampus, right, the prefrontal cortex. All of this works together. Your heart is feeling from your mind, from the interaction and the conversation that we're having. So what does it really mean to live intentionally? We've all heard these buzzwords. We're going to dive into this for the next couple of minutes. When you set an intention, it's what it feels like. It's what it sounds like and what it looks like for you. So for me, every single day I would have to get up and I'd have to offer myself forgiveness. And I have to offer myself love. So let's say in this room right now we set our intention to love. What does love feel like for you today? What does it really feel like to love and be loved? Now what does love sound like? How do you talk to yourself? The tone of your voice that you talk to other people in our community, especially when the people pull out of you, in front of you on the highway. which happened to me as I was coming here today. Literally, a guy pulls out and goes down to 0. How can I express love with my intention? What does it sound like? And finally, what does it look like? If you're engaging in love and you're loving yourself, what does that activity look like? So live it intentionally, set it in intention, and really dive it into what that feels like for you, what it sounds like, and what it looks like. And now that's with every interaction and every conversation that you have with yourself in our community. As I share my experience with Matt, how can I show Matt love? How can he hear it in the tone of my voice? And how can I express love to Matt? Now, one of the things about living intentionally, and the difference of my dad when he was drinking and being toxic, is when you're living intentionally, it's always something positive. I've been doing this for 11 years, and I have helped thousands of people establish their mission statement. And did you know that not one person, that 100% of the mission statements out there are positive? Yeah, because they want to do something for themselves and their community. And if you can establish this intention to help facilitate your mission statement, it's even going to expand this and allow you an opportunity to dive in further to who you are and the impact you want to make. So I'm going to ask you today is, how do you want to feel? Do you want to feel loved? Do you want to feel like you belong? That you fit in? Do you want to feel forgiven for the guilt and the shame and the things from the past? Begin to establish that mission statement today and that intention and live by it. And give yourself that opportunity to dive in a little bit further to what that feels like for you in our community. What that sounds like for you in our community. And what it looks like. Imagine if we left here today and we all had the intention of love, of acceptance, or forgiveness. And with every interaction and every conversation, we displayed it to ourselves in our community. What would that do for this community? What would that ripple effect be? Healthy boundaries are vital. A lot of times in our life, what we don't realize is that we're given so much. Those in the service industry, we focus on others before ourselves. So, service before ourselves. The term of codependency is that actual term, that you put the needs of others before yourself. A lot of times people think codependency is I'm dependent upon somebody else, but it's really, you do not want those people to face the same trauma, the same drama, and go through the same things that you've gone through, so you're doing everything you can for those people. But it's time that we begin to focus on our own healing and our own journey, and that we no longer avoid those thoughts, feelings, and emotions. That we allow them all to come up to the surface. This is the concept of vulnerability. When I was in USDA and I was scanning for vulnerabilities, it was a weakness. It was something within this asset that somebody could come in and infiltrate and gain access. But as I turned the script around and reframe my perspective, vulnerability is your greatest strength. We've all been in relationships where somebody was holding back. We could tell that there was something they weren't giving to themselves or to the community or to somebody else. We could just always tell that there was something that they weren't able and willing to share. Well, that's the lack of vulnerability. That's one of the greatest things that I have with these communities, these friends, and these people here that are supporting me, is I could ask them any question and they would share it. And it's vice versa. Vulnerability is that you're no longer holding back at any level or any point. Vulnerability will be your greatest strength leaving this session today. Vulnerability is not a weakness. Vulnerability is where you become raw, authentic, real, and genuine with who you are. You're completely transparent. You've removed the mask. You've removed the armor. You've removed the shield. You've removed that identity. And who you are at your core, you begin to establish this love, this acceptance of who you are. Now I found my bliss. I've created a whole curriculum over this. This is an amazing opportunity. I'm working with the Department of Corrections in Missouri. I was just on a call earlier this week, and this curriculum may be integrated into onboarding for every single staff of the Department of Corrections in the entire United States, because they understand the value of people focusing on their mission statement of living intentionally and what it can do for them. So what is really unconditional love? Well, that's my family. My family is still here to support me through this whole entire journey. It's my kids and grandkids. It's taken a few years ago. And our dogs. My kids get dogs and then they give them to me. So I told them they're not allowed to get another dog, fish, gerbil, snake, nothing. I'm tired of taking over all their animals for them. We had an exchange student in Germany. We spent some time over in Germany. This is my extended family out in Woodward. You might have seen this if you've ever been to Boiling Springs. So what is yoga? It's a way of life. Yoga is not of the devil. You're not going to get the devil when you breathe in a pose. I don't know who said that or where this has come from. I hear that a lot in this community. It would be the same thing if you played basketball or baseball or anything that's of the devil. Yoga is a way of life. Now, we will call yoga this thing that we do on the mat, but yoga is everything you do off the mat. And what you do on that mat can help prepare you for everything you do off the mat. It's being mindful about what you eat. It's being present and being in the moment. It's being more intentional with every thought, every interaction, and every conversation you have with yourself and others. This is my first yoga class I taught at Warriors of Sin 10 years ago. It's been a decade. I opened a studio in Kansas City. I got great support. This is the mayor, Sly James. He came to our opening ceremony. It was an amazing opportunity. I know I keep pointing at that, but I know it's over there. I taught with Manduka and Project OWN, so help with breast cancer awareness. And this is a retreat I did almost exactly a year ago where Shonda was there and Matt was there. And it was an amazing opportunity to give back. This is the 190th up in Topeka. So I go up there about every quarter and I lead a variety of these sessions as well. So we talk about mindfulness, we talk about meditation, we talk about healthy boundaries, we talk about turning conflict into connection. We talk about all these things that I wish I would have got in the military, because then I wouldn't have had this explosion. I would have been able to deal with my trauma right then and there. I want to thank all the people that helped voted for us for Nonprofit of the Year last year. That was an amazing opportunity. I absolutely loved it. I love what we've got, yes, in this community. I'll thumb through this kind of quick, but this is our, I call it my 990. But last year when we had our studio, we had over 1,000 attendees. We had 120 in DOC, 104 in the 190th in the Warriors of Sin. These are our volunteer hours. It's hard to read these surveys, but they're really, really, really viable. People sleep better. Their anxiety goes down. Their depression goes up, their conflict resolution goes up. All the good things go up, all the bad things go down. Now I get texts and I get phone calls every single week, and this is what really inspires me. I love this. I got a huge win yesterday. I'm free of that darkness and free from a very dark memory. I have a clear understanding of what was happening and what I was experiencing. There's another one I got. This guy came to one of my sessions and he says, I got a gun in the car. And I plan on killing myself after this retreat. But you absolutely saved my life. I hear that people will get their mother, their father, their husband back. Every single time I do a retreat, 1 to 3 people will come up and tell me that I've saved their life, that they had lost hope, that they'd lost their focus. I want to read this to you guys. You matter to me. I want you to know that your life has immense value, and that you matter to me more than words can express. I care about you deeply and believe in you. You are not alone in this journey, and I'm here to support you through everything. Your presence in my life is a gift. I want to spend time with you, sharing moments and overcoming challenges together. Please let us find the help and support we need to get through this together, because your happiness and your well-being means everything to me. Now there's a flyer on there, on everybody's table. There's also a bookmark. So those people that like to read to the kids, you can give them a bookmark, and I have a ton more here. So the cost to save somebody's life for me and for you was around $500. To pay for somebody to go through a transformative retreat with me is only $500. So my question for you is, what is a life worth? Because in the last hour, there's been almost 6 people that have taken their life. And if you have the opportunity to transform and save somebody's life, what would that mean to you? If you could, we're going to just spend a minute in mindfulness and meditation. If you could close your eyes and clear your mind and begin to deepen your breath. And I want you to focus all your energy, all your effort, all your attention on your breath. And I want you to just begin to build your awareness of what you feel. Of all the feelings that are occurring externally, the temperature of this room, maybe the chair, even where you're feeling a little pain or discomfort. I want you to begin to release that. Think of all the feelings as externally and internally. Then think about what you hear, the sound of my voice, and the other people in this space as we settle in. That everything that you begin to hear internally, the self-dialogue that you're telling yourself. And even with your eyes closed, what you see, this space, your drive here, how you see yourself. Now, I want you to revisit this with the intention of love. What does love feel like for you right here, right now in this chair? What does it feel like to love and be loved? And what does love sound like? The tone in your voice and how you're going to begin to speak to other people today with this voice of love. And finally, what does love look like as you share love with yourself in our community? Let's pray. Dearly Heavenly Father, I just want to thank you for the opportunity today to share, to grow, and to stretch. I want to thank you for the opportunity to live life blissfully each and every single day. And that because of you in this journey, in this path, I've been able to face my fears with courage. Because courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the ability to walk through the fear. And you've walked through this fear with me, with faith. And once we've overcome these fears, we've instilled confidence. And with that confidence, it's instilled bravery. And every day now that I get up, I face my fears. I embrace them with courage. I find the confidence and I instill bravery, and I do it over and over again for me and our community. Thank you so much for this opportunity to connect. Amen. Do you guys have any questions, any feedback, anything you want to share? We've got about 10 minutes. Oh, you guys are quiet, yes. Hang on, let me get a mic. You take that one. Hello.
Testing.
Yes.
It wasn't that big of a question. Did you say you run your organization as a nonprofit?
Yes, ma'am. I've done that for 8 years. I've never taken any money out of it. I've given everything back. So I volunteer my time. So all the money that's generated goes back to the community at one level at one point.
As a signal analyst, I could see where you would be
I didn't know I had another one in the room.
interested, no, you, not me.
Oh, okay.
I'm a family physician. So,
Okay.
But I can see where you would be interested in trying to understand suicide.
Yes.
'Cause it's not an easy signal to detect. What has your experience taught you that are signals that people send out when they're playing?
Well, the reason people commit suicide is lack of hope, right? And it's not always detectable. It's not always easy to see. Sometimes there are the signals that I've seen personally with people as they, eliminate their assets, or they sell their business, or they get rid of those things in their life. There's a pattern that people kind of follow. But I will tell you that once you make that connection with those people, they reach out to you. I do a community call every Sunday. And there was a guy on the call, he said, "Carrie, I'm suicidal." And we had a whole other conversation. He's booking himself into a 30-day treatment. I think what people are looking for is an opportunity to connect, especially at that time. And who do they call? Because if I call 988, that person doesn't know me. It's very, very challenging at that point. So I think some of the signals are definitely keeping an eye on eliminating any assets, any belongings, selling the business. And you can see a change and a shift in who they are and who they're becoming. They're more depressed, they're more anxious, they're obviously more reclusive. If you haven't heard from somebody in a while, then you need to reach out. I always call it a proof of life check. If I haven't heard from you, can you give me this proof of life? Hopefully that answers your questions. What else? Yes, sir. We'll get you the mic.
Okay, thank you for the wonderful presentation. I absolutely believe in what you're doing, everything.
You're welcome.
A lot of talk though these days about using drug therapy for the
Yes.
same type of treatment. I don't know how many people in this room have seen the show Nine Perfect Strangers, where they use psychedelic mushrooms.
Right.
And I've seen specials on the news about that. I just was wondering your thoughts.
Okay, so I have a lot of friends that have engaged in that, but they will tell me that if they haven't done the work with me, it wouldn't reset, that would have been a short-term fix. So you have to do a lot of work on the back end before you engage in that. Now, I'll never tell anybody not to take their prescription medication, but just as well as you know that every prescription medication affects every single person differently and affects their serotonin, which affects their ability to be mindful and to be present. So I'm not going to tell you to not take your migraine medicine, but I'm going to tell you when you take your migraine medicine, you may not be able to become as more calm and more relaxed as you used to be. It's becoming aware of the effects of what you're putting into your body and being more mindful. So absolutely, there's certain people that need to be on some kind of medication, but you know the cure for mild and moderate depression, not severe, is exercise, movement. I want you to find movement that brings you joy. Find the opportunity to engage in some activity or movement that brings you joy every single day. And that will help you with your mental state so much more than anything else. Also, being intentional. Thank you. Any other questions? Yes?
Okay, I work in sexual abuse recovery and I understand trauma deeply from that the teaching and the research. I've always wondered, as a person who has lots of family in the military, why there isn't some sort of debriefing as you leave the military and you go from warrior to citizen. I see that as a huge thing that needs to happen. I hear what you're saying and how wonderful that is, but we need that for everybody.
Right. Well, I'll say the 190th is doing really well. Their last commander's call, he got up and talked about crying. And he said how benefit it is to be vulnerable and cry. Now, I never heard that in the military. My commander never told me to go cry. He said, suck it up, buttercup. He said a lot of other things that I probably shouldn't say in here. But there's a shift in the change. Otherwise, the military wouldn't have me go do these talks. Otherwise, the Department of Corrections wouldn't have. And I'll say it to me primarily, it's because we have more women engaged and women are more empathetic than men. Women are more understanding. I will say from every Marine woman that I've ever met during the Gulf War or any of the war, I've been raped. Every single one of them. I have not met one woman. Yes. And so my heart goes out to every single one of them because of the situation that they've gone through. And the trauma, because you're stripping away their mortality. You're stripping away everything in their life. And you're putting, the thing is with trauma at that level, it goes with you indefinitely. And it's so challenging to forgive. But once they can find that opportunity to forgive, then they're freeing themselves. They're not condoning that behavior, but they're allowing themselves to be free finally. So I hope that there becomes a shift. I hope that at some point this curriculum that I've created, that there's a whole team of experts that focus on sexual trauma, that focus on fire or police, our churches, our schools, and they take this and they compound it and they instill it, and we normalize living intentionally. That we normalize living in the moment, truly living intentionally. That it's just not word vomit, that it's something we actually do with our life. That we're more present and more in the moment. So I think a shift can occur, but it's got to be commanders just like the 190th in Topeka that are doing it. It's just like the people in the Department of Corrections in Missouri are like, these are the survey results from what he's doing. The feedback is that every single person should go through this program. That's what it takes. It takes time because we didn't have the right mindset. So, thank you. Anybody else? Yes.
As Christians, you know, we believe that God's Spirit lives within us.
Right.
And that if we pursue that,
having God's Spirit live within us, then He produces certain fruits.
Right.
Like joy, peace,
Yes.
patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, self-control. I hear a lot about mindfulness, and I'm just wondering, as a praying person and someone who believes in God, how do you connect mindfulness to what we believe that the God's Spirit lives within us?
It might have been you that picked up the tomato, or this gentleman right here. I've got this garden out here, and I'm growing corn, and I'm growing tomatoes, right? And I've got okra and onions. I've got all these vegetables growing, okay? I can't give you that tomato unless I grow it. I can say it. All of us have heard somebody tell us that we love them, but their actions speak differently. So many women I know, some men told them that they loved them, but they didn't show them love. So, what that really means and instills is, once again, within our mindset. If you look at the studies and the clinical trials of Christians, the things that really bring them joy and excitement, you're not going to be surprised, some of you have already heard this, Christmas music. Right? If it brings you joy, you get excited because what happens around Christmas? So within that category, what you're doing is you're manifesting it within yourself of faith and hope with this higher being. We all are born with the Holy Spirit. There's evidence of that. The challenge is making it internal instead of external. Everything that we have been programmed to do is external. So how can I grow love within myself? When I grow love and it's authentic, I can give it to you. If all I've instilled in my ammo box in the back is trauma, drama, hate, fear, and anxiety, that's all I possess, no matter what I label myself as a man of God or whatever it is. I don't live that life. So you have to grow it in your own garden first. Hopefully that provides a little bit different context and clarity over this conversation. Does it?
For me,
okay.
Mindfulness is just getting in touch and living in the Spirit.
Yes, 100%. And I say wholeheartedly, what we have done as a society is we turned off this spiritual aspect of our life because we've avoided. You can't selectively pick and choose what you want to numb. Because I didn't want to feel the guilt, I didn't want to feel the shame, I didn't want to feel the regret, I didn't want to feel the sorrow, I turned it off. And what I did was I turned off the joy, the love, the excitement. You have no choice. When you turn one emotion off, you begin to turn them all off. Once I became vulnerable is when I began to open up. Anybody else? Anybody else want to share any feedback? Any questions? Yeah.
Do we have time?
Sure.
I'm not sure how much time you guys have. My name is Matt Martin. I go by Rooster. I have a Rooster Studios tattoo. And my journey started about 10 years ago. I was a combat medic in the Army and suffered from PTSD. I've had some hard times in my life. My daughter committed suicide in 2019, and that really opened up everything for me. Not in a good way, but I gotta say thank you. And I know we're short on time. In brief, thank you, Carrie. If it wasn't for his friendship, if it wasn't for him opening up and giving the tools in the bag that you can actually use, because I started 10 years ago of trying to do this on my own, and I just realized I couldn't. And I would go and do yoga, and I tried to, but it was mostly exercise for me. But really, when it came down to like, hey, these are the tools that I can actually use, and what it means in a simple way. So, with that being said, it's not easy. It's not easy for us. It's not easy for those that just go through trauma and stress and anxiety, and depression. But with mindfulness training, with things that we can do to reduce the stressors, one of those is through the class and the courses that Terry's teaching. So, all that being said, thank you very much for you.
Guys, I'll be here if you want to talk. Thank you guys. There's a QR code you can scan. You can go to the website. You can reach out to me anytime. Thank you guys once again for this opportunity. I will be forever grateful for this.
Great job, Carrie. Thank you so much. Wonderful program. Thank you, Carrie, very much. Appreciate that. So we are going to postpone the foundation budget today because of time constraints, and I do apologize for that. But again, I will take that program and we'll talk about the foundation next week. Fair enough, Joel? Next week's program is Pat Dotson with Grove Public Schools announcements, again, thank you so much for Mulligan's for that wonderful meal, and for all of our guests here today, thank you so much for attending. Please consider becoming a Rotarian. It's a pretty great club that we belong to. And then lastly, leave all tables and chairs. So if we don't have anything else, we'll adjourn. Please stand for the four-way test. And all the things we think, say, or do. Is it the truth? Is it fair? And is it fun?
I'm Tom Rich Joyce. This is my daughter. For 50 years, I guess. 14. Well, this is my daughter. So if you need to be good, it is closer to 70 years. We have similar roots. We do. This is another one of our friends, Bliss. This is my daughter. She doesn't know. Well, we signed her. My brother,
Well, yeah, sometimes they can go. My dad was probably going to the 50th anniversary in November. Well, and he was like, actually, he also went to Cash Hall. He